Okay, well, the kid's asleep for the moment, so I've got all of a few seconds to myself. And this is Michael Lummis, in case you guys don't recognize me, because it's been forever since I've been out. God knows I never travel for anything. But anyway, might digress for us to do a couple video things just to say hey to everyone since you guys are gathering again. And I just wanted to call in and say that you guys were the best part. I mean, talk about like what are the best memories of the guides. It's not the guides. I mean, it was work. The first couple years, it's amazing. It's exciting. You're like, I'm getting paid to do video games, but no. What kept me coming back was definitely that we had the best editors, we had the best designers, and I just had such a great time working with you guys. And I'm gonna miss you guys. I really hope that if any of you ever make it out to Maryland, I always say like, yeah, come see me. Well, I mean it. Come see me. Doesn't matter if we're not working together on God's anymore or anything. The door's always open because you guys rocked, and it was really cool. And that's all there is. I mean, what else am I going to say about the guys themselves? Sometimes they were amazing, but they were also a pain in the butt. Lots of work for all of us. But I really felt like I was part of a team, and no other place I've worked has ever been like that. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. It's probably because we've been sick for 2 months with toddlers getting us. It's horrible. Anyway, love y'all. Take care.
Hi everybody, this is Doug Walsh. Mike asked me to say a few words about what writing for Brady Games meant to me over the years, and as I sit here kind of thinking back to all those books I wrote, my first memory is my very first project. Getting that call from Tim Bogan to go and join him and Tim Fitzpatrick on site at Nintendo to do the book for Banjo-Tooie was one of the highlights of my adult career, I have to say. And then coming back a few months later to do Conker's Bad Fur Day, it's sad to say actually, but my second project was probably the most fun I've ever had in the 18 years or so that I had been doing this. But the projects went well. We didn't just laugh. We wrote out a good book. And then I got the call from Lee to start getting involved in all the Tony Hawk games and the various spin-offs. And that was wonderful. It seemed like every other month I was working with Ken Schmidt on another Tony Hawk guide or Matt Hoffman or, insert pro athlete's name before board here type of title. But I did start to get burned out on those, and I remember being on site one day, and I said to Christian, like, man, I don't want to do these anymore. And he's like, you shut your mouth. He's like, these pro skater games are your meal ticket. You'll eventually do some other books later, but just shut your mouth and keep doing them. And so I did, but Christian was right. I eventually got to do a lot of fun other titles, RPGs, shooters, the BioShock series, and then of course Gears of War, which, to be honest, is probably my favorite collection of memories. Working with Tim Fitzpatrick on all the Gears of War guides, going on site, getting Lee to actually hire my friend Jim Morey to help with the multiplayer, that was awesome. And then of course having Moen and Kenny Sims coming down. I didn't work with Kenny on the multiplayer for Gears 3 because I was doing the single player, but I'll never forget hearing him holler as his character bayonet charged across the map, usually into a wall from what I heard, but that was really, really hilarious to me. Things obviously changed a bit after the merger, and I went away for 2 years and, tried to bicycle around the world or whatever, and then came back and I got involved in, Tim Fitzpatrick was now my editor-in-chief, and it was a pretty interesting time. I had got to work with Jennifer Sims a lot as an editor, and just what a professional person she was. Absolutely tremendous project manager. It was, but things had obviously changed a bit. I don't know how much the editors or the people or the designers or the artists or everybody gets to interact with the authors, but from where we sit, it's a pretty solitary existence, but that isn't to say we didn't have a ton of pride, or at least speaking for myself, I had a ton of pride in knowing that my name was on the book with this Brady Games logo at the top. And, to be able to tell people that, yeah, I wrote guidebooks for the company that did the Final Fantasy VII guide that I played with, that I had on my lap as like a 20-year-old or 22-year-old, I guess. that was really, it meant something to me. And to know that, we were putting out the best books possible, that everyone cared so much, that there were so many gamers on the staff, it really did mean a lot. It's something that I'm very proud of. I started doing this at age 24, so essentially my entire adult life, my entire career has been with Brady Games, and obviously with Prima at the end. And that means something to me, and I'm really happy to have met so many of you in the process. I really enjoyed working with you all. I wish you all nothing but the best going forward. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity back in 2000 and for the willingness to answer my calls and actually reply to my emails at first when I know I was probably a little bit annoying. But you hung in there with me, and I really appreciate it. Thanks to all. Have a great night tonight. Take care.
Hey guys, I'm gonna do this very impromptu and on the spot because I am currently driving to Arkansas for a wedding, so I'm very sorry about that. But I just wanted to record a quick thing for you guys. Brady Games was a really, really big part of my life for a very, very long time, and it really opened up a lot of doors for me career-wise. I'm really, really sad about the state of the industry, and I'm sorry about what's happening to you guys. It really bummed me out more than I thought it would. So I just wanted to say that you guys, I worked with you for 9 years in some capacity. You meant a lot to me. You did a lot for me. And I hope you guys move on to really great things. And I will never forget some of my favorite books, working on them, particularly the Castlevania stuff, which really led me in a weird direction, So thanks guys, good luck with everything. I'm thinking about you. Godspeed.
Howdy everyone. I started doing guides for Brady Games in 2006. I was brought on by my old friend Adam Dietz to help out on the Street Fighter Alpha Anthology guide, because I knew him from fighting game tournaments. But guides had been a part of my life going back to childhood. Case in point, this is the Nintendo Power guide for Final Fantasy 1. So that must have been from when I was 10 or 11 years old. The earliest guides I have from Brady Games and Prima, this is the Final Fantasy VII guide from Brady Games. If you look in here, other people will surely recognize more than me, but I recognize Dan Caparo, obviously Lee Davis, Tim Cox, Michael Owen, already 1997. Prima had Final Fantasy Tactics. The only name I recognize on this one is Elizabeth Hollinger. So I'm sure for some of us, it doesn't feel so much like losing a job or a stream of income as it does a kind of a bygone media product. That's kind of sad. These are often cool supplements, help bring back memories, and obviously I have saved many throughout the years, so I'll definitely miss it that way. The first time I was supposed to come visit the office, a thunderstorm trapped me in the city-sized Atlanta airport for a whole weekend. So I didn't go out that time, I just went back home after sleeping on benches. A couple of projects later, it was one of those where, for security concerns, they want the bill to stay in the office. So I came out to Indianapolis for a couple months for Virtua Fighter 5, and so that was the first time I met everyone in the office and put faces to names and so forth. I had worked in like military insurance, so I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't traveled that far for work before, certainly not to any kind of gaming or gaming adjacent thing. So I just was trying to be professional and buttoned down. And in the very first meeting, it was in either that run of offices where Ken Schmidt and David Bartley sat, one of those offices, those two, but then also I think Christian Sumner and Chris Hauserman, maybe Tim Fitzpatrick, I can't remember, 4 or 5 guys were meeting, me and Adam Dietz are meeting with 2 of them about work. And again, I'm nervous, meeting people, worrying about making an impression, blah, blah, blah. and then in come the other 2 or 3 guys interrupting the meeting. One of them has like a foot tall Transformer or Gundam or Lego thing. I apologize, I can't remember the specifics. Maybe someone else will. But so they walk in with this thing, and they interrupt the meeting to say, "Oh man, I've been working on this for hours." So, and then obviously that gets derailed. Everybody talks about this Gundam thing while I kind of like make eye contact with Adam, like, "Oh, okay, so it's gonna be like this." So that was my first experience with the character of The Office. Probably all told, I spent 8 months or maybe even a year living in Indianapolis for various projects. So although most projects were remote and it was freelance, I, in a way, did feel like a part of The Office. Most of the contact I had was with co-writers and editors on various books, and then also with Lee. I still have her business card that she sent me in 2006. Please enjoy the campus ship number that's helpfully written there for reference. That'll get you a lot of mileage now. After that Virtua Fighter project where I went out to visit for the first time, I was still really invested in, oh, these things have to be perfect, I'm from the community. And there was a Virtua Fighter forum where most of the people congregated, and I was just being candid on there about the reasons why our book was going to lack certain kinds of data and coverage that people consider crucial. And I just said what was the case on many books, the thing that you can't say, which is the licensors failed to give us enough help or any help or the right kind of help. So I just said that. Representatives of Sega read those forums and contacted Lee, and then Lee left me a voicemail that, I wish that I had saved, where she very strongly suggested in extremely colorful, high volume language that I delete those posts and stop talking about projects in public. And I took this mentorship to heart. So thank you, Lee, and I wish I had saved that voicemail. There was too many individual trips to Indianapolis to recount, and too many individual hangouts, specifically Pacers games with Tracy, David Bartley, Tim Cox, Chris Hauserman, lots of lunches at the office with everyone, lots of dinners at people who were gracious enough to host me and other traveling nerdy gaming writers, Ken taking us to his favorite burger place. I don't remember the name of it, but Ken's favorite burger place is probably sufficient description. Lots of late rating by me and Adam of whatever design left in that central gathering area at like 9 p.m. with us walking out of the library zombie-like past cleaning people to take stale cookies. There was a whiteboard in that central design area that was rarely used, and for I don't remember which trip, but like once a week I would add a line or two from the Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater theme song, which if you don't know it, YouTube it, it's incredible. A line or two a week and timing it with the length of the trip until the whole lyrics to the song was complete and occupying the full space of the whiteboard in the middle of design. No one ever said anything. So the first guide I did was that Street Fighter Alpha Anthology guide. Chris Hauserman was the editor, and I know for many years my champion on allowing us to go nuts with the fighting game content, and a way that I don't even know if it was sold anything or was productive. It meant a lot to me that everyone indulged me, and already Tracy, Brent, Michael Owen, of course thanks to Brent, Tracy, Ariva, anyone else who again indulged me with just mountains and mountains of text that I'm sure almost no one ever read. The first one was this, the Alpha Anthology Guide. Obviously the last one, Smash Brothers Ultimate. And again at the end, there with Brent and Jennifer. So there you go. I don't know if there's necessarily... Really, I don't have guides I'm most proud of. It's maybe a little sappy to say that I feel proud of all of them. But maybe I'm most proud of the worst one, which I think is Stockholm Syndrome. But yet it's Street Fighter Cross Tekken. The X is pronounced Cross. This was a crossover between Capcom with Street Fighter, Namco with Tekken. Capcom was supposed to make this one. Namco was supposed to make a 3D, more Tekken-like one called Tekken Cross Street Fighter. That project never came out probably tells you how well this one did, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Just everything that could be annoying about this project was annoying. Initially, they wouldn't sign off on giving us access, so we knew that Greg Off had access for some sort of magazine preview or something, that he already had a build of the game in San Francisco, and so I secretly went to San Francisco to get an early look at the game while we were still hammering out us having access. So I'm there early in San Francisco at Greg Off's office, checking out the game, and I noticed that the characters they've announced are available, but also all these other characters that they said they were going to release later as DLC are already all available and playable. And that struck me as kind of a red flag. And so when we did have official access a few weeks later, and we could act like we had actually seen the game, it was one of the few times I actually felt like I issued a warning to a licensor and said, this is going to get PR blowback, I promise. And they said, no, it'll be fine. Anyway, then it was one of those projects where for security reasons they didn't want to build to leave the office. So me and Daniel Maniago and Logan Sharp all came up to the Indiana office across a brutal winter, iced in for Christmas, New Year's, my birthday, Logan's girlfriend's birthday, which I know is old hat for y'all if you live there, but is unusual for me. Aside from the brutal weather that we're unaccustomed to, hotel staff somehow trashed Daniel's laptop, so then we had to kind of jerry-rig together a PC for him using a monitor from the office that Stacy brought over to us. We also somehow everyone failed to plan where we were going to stay during the Indianapolis Super Bowl, which was that year. One of the most vivid memories of Indianapolis I have is that in the lead up to that Super Bowl, every single stranger from Indianapolis I met asked if I was going to try out the zip line. We failed to book a room for the Super Bowl, and so obviously nothing was available. Stacy let us crash in her house, just take it over like a fighting game headquarters over Super Bowl weekend. Well, she went away. She just said, knock yourselves out, do what you need to do, here's my house. So incredible, heroic lift, and thank you again, Stacy. So then aside from all that, the weather, the onerousness of the planning and travel, we realized really late in the project, like a week left, that about half of the authoring team had been a net negative, and so Logan and I spent the last week in a kind of scrambling, sleepless haze trying to correct everything in time while also finishing our own stuff, while Chris played surrogate father figure giving Dan pep talks at Cafe Patachu, which is one of my favorite things about Indianapolis. I hope it's still there. I hope to go again someday. And then Chris, at the very end, had scheduled time off for a vacation and went away, so Jennifer had to take over Page passes on a fighting game disaster project, which I'm sure was like high pressure Greek for her, but probably good preparation for Smash Ultimate. We barely crossed the finish line on a very taxing project that I know shaved years off of my lifespan. And the punchline is that, of course, people data mined the game right when it came out and saw what I saw at the very beginning, that all of this stuff was already there on disk to be parceled out for years. That meant they were greedy and lazy, and by extension, we must be greedy and lazy because, of course, were we allowed to cover any of that in the book? No. So the game and the book bombed, and they never made the follow-up game from Namco. So that is both my worst and best fighting game guide memory. In the same way that if you have a really bad date or a really bad drug experience, but not like criminally bad, just super discomfort bad, you give it enough time, it becomes a funny story. A lot of what made it memorable in hindsight and enabled us to get through it was the generosity and warmth of everyone in the office while we were there, and other people working on the book. So thank you again for that. So in closing, thanks again to everyone for the rapport, camaraderie, humor, patience. It really made this unique fake job something else, and I'm really gonna miss it. So cheers to everyone. Salud. L'chaim. And best of luck to you in whatever endeavors you take on next. Please note that this shot glass is a Gearbox shot glass from projects like Aliens, Colonial Marines, Duke Nukem Forever, and Borderlands. But these are all even worse than Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and too traumatic to talk about.
Hey, what's up, Prima Games? I don't know if it's your best author, but certainly the most handsome. And you could tell Kevin Sullivan I said that. We're here today at the very desk where I did the writing for such treasures as the WWE Encyclopedia and my own personal favorite, dun, 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 John Cena, Hustle, Loyalty, Respect. Shout out to Jennifer Sims. My desk is messy. My desk is messy because I'm always busy. And I'm always busy because Prima Games put me on the map. So thank you all for that. I could not have had the success that I've had in my career so far without you guys. I have my first couple of DK readers up there on the shelf that I wrote. Shout out to Tim Fitzpatrick. So what I'd like to do is send you all to WWE SmackDown in Indianapolis on March 19th. I'm working on the tickets. Enjoy one more show on me. Of course, we all know what happens when I send Prima Games to WWE shows. Mike's kid breaks up legendary tag teams simply by taking his picture with them. They turned on each other about an hour after this was taken, and I always wondered, how does someone so small break up such a strong union? So I researched some of the most notorious breakups in history, and lo and behold, this is one of the last pictures ever taken of the Beatles. He broke up the greatest rock band in the history of rock and roll music. So, of course, celebrity relationships were not safe either, whether human or puppet. And, of course, living where he lives and his dad being who his dad is, he had to go and break up Peyton Manning and the Colts. So, lastly, just want to say, enjoy the show and keep Mike's kid away from the New Day. And I hope to come down to your neck of the woods and have a beer with you guys sometime very soon.
Break in, he's a sexy man. He a roller in a club with his platinum plan, and he's squatting on the toilet with his sexy tan. Baby, double deuces in your mama's can. Better watch it cause she don't want him to poop his pants, or you'll never hear the end of it.